A journey of home renovation and maintenance. Welcome to Maintaining 18. One planter box was not enough. Another is needed. This time it will be lower and longer by 4 feet. Story time. The planter box was designed and then timed to get the materials. Due to shortages and so forth, and not wanting to return empty-handed or delay the project, 12 feet boards were purchased. This time, the project began the same day. With pressure-treated lumber, as it dries, it may twist, bend, bow, or otherwise not remain flat. Such mishaps are avoided by using the lumber right away. At this point, the sides are being assembled. Pocket holes have been drilled. Clamps are being put in place to allow easy assembly with screws. The face clamp ensures the lumber does not shift while inserting or driving in the screws. That's right, shifts can take place either up or down. Before making any cuts, the saw had to be squared, the fence and the blade. Doing this maintenance will lead to better miters. So I can be like a pro, some dry lube. The lumber is being cut for the shorter side. The construction and assembly is similar to the longer side. 2x2 form the legs and a means of attaching each side to form a box. At this point, there's a drastic departure in the way this planter box is being constructed compared to the first planter box. The planter box is being put together on its sides. What is happening is square is being used versus level. A frame was constructed and inserted. Guidelines were used to get the correct level or position for the frame all the way around. The frame should have been 2x4. Nevertheless, a trip back to the store? No. Not in these times. No. Because the box is on its side, there is a sag. Using a spreader clamp to get things to the correct length. This turned out to be ineffective. To cut a long story short, shims had to be used to have the entire box run the same width. As with the previous planter box, a solid base is being used. This time OSB. This was left over from a construction project. The box is 12 feet long, the OSB is 8 feet. Therefore, 2 pieces had to be used. The notches accommodate the leg supports. After laying the first block, a story pole is then created, from which the remaining blocks of the foundation will be leveled. The planter box needs to be placed on level ground, doing this with some concrete blocks. Below the concrete blocks is gravel, and the gravel is tamped down. This gives a level surface for the box to sit on. The planter box was then put on its foundation and the construction finished with the addition of the trim piece, which is now being sanded. The trim piece was not added until a day or so later, and the boards began to do their thing while drying out. This made them a bit uneven, but sanding resolved that issue. Some aspects of the foundation had to be redone because your boy did not use a layout string. So the measurements were wrong and holes were dug where they should not have been. However, that was overcome, but the woes continue with the trim piece at the top. The planter box is 12 feet long. the trim piece needs to be 12 feet and 2 inches long. The lumber being used to construct the trim piece is 12 feet long. Therefore, some joins are necessary. This was done. Nevertheless, one area had a bit of a problem. The side came up a ½ inch short. How not to get into this mess? Well, it's very simple. Create a lumber which is long enough first and then make your cuts. The repair required a splice which was not even all the way. With the splice in place, time to move on to the next section of the build. The plastic underlayment is being put in place. No new techniques for this. Same old, same old. There's a departure from the previous build. You see, the trim piece was not added until the plastic was installed. In this case, the plastic is being installed after the trim piece has been installed. My recommendation, install the trim piece after installing the plastic. Much cleaner. At this point, the planter box was stained mostly, except for the corner which needs some work. In addition, checking for leaks before proceeding any further. The drain pipe is installed, and this time a little differently. It's lower and goes directly into the 4-inch sub-irrigated pipes. Any leaks or holes are sealed up. A hole around the drain pipe is sealed up using some window sill tape. It was what was on hand, and trips to the store, not so popular. Also running low on fabric used to keep the dirt out, so the ends of the pipe are sealed with this said tape. The fabric is spread over the pipes instead of wrapping each pipe individually as with the previous build. Now for the fun part, 27 bags of soil. Soil can be purchased in bulk, nevertheless this option is the quickest. Almost there. Only thing left to do is to fill the planter box with water and apply some minerals to the soil. Recall the frame should have been built using 2x4. Well, there's a reason for that. Disaster strikes. A section of the frame failed. Fortunately, a jack was on hand, and that allowed the raising of the base of the planter box. This allowed for supports to be added, but first the supports had to be built. The process was simple but tedious. The planter box had to be jacked up and supports put in place, and rinse and repeat. Supports were constructed from 2x6 lumber that was on hand, and these were wrapped in leftover plastic or sheathing. In some areas, concrete blocks were used. There was some damage to the trim piece at the top while jacking up the planter box in order to install the supports. The trim piece at the top was simply nailed back into place. Some advice: build the frame with 2x4 lumber and avoid this mishap. The project is now complete. Having to deal with the leaks was a little easier this time around. Nevertheless, the falling out of the bottom was quite challenging to recover from. 2x4 lumber for the frame. Cannot stress it any further. Thank you for watching Maintaining 18. Please like, share, subscribe, or comment. Let's take a walk. The day is 1. Still here, there's some more to share. This is what the original design looks like. It was supposed to be 1 by 6 by 10. That was replaced with 1 by 6 by 12. An additional 2 feet. Let YouTube know these videos are of interest by liking the video, clicking the thumbs up. This way, YouTube will recommend videos to you. This beats searching for videos any day of the week. Any innovation in planter boxes, chances are will be presented in your timeline at some point in time. Thanks again for watching.